What's going on, Colts Nation? I appreciate you joining me for another video where today I want to talk about the roster bubble. Who's on the roster bubble? Who could be on the practice squad? We're going to look at that. Who could get cut? What could we expect as we go forward? And just kind of what I'm thinking, right? This is my opinion. I don't have any inside information, but I do want to start by saying the last video where we talked about the 53-man roster. I was wrong. Okay, I went and brushed up on the rule, the emergency quarterback rule. It does have to be on the active roster, which I was wrong about. I thought it was a guy you could have on the practice squad and elevate from the practice squad to be one of the active players. The situation is actually he has to be part of the 53-man roster, and when they go into Sunday, right, and they go into game day, he has to be reported as somebody on the 53-man roster and also has to be, he doesn't have to be reported, though, as somebody that is on the 47 or 48 player active roster, right? The game day actives. There are always some inactives for the Colts. Every team does it every week, has some inactive players. And this year, the Colts can have Sam Ehlinger be on the 53-man roster, but not count towards one of the 47 or 48 guys that are being listed as active. So they can take an extra active player into every game. And it'll be interesting to see how they decide to do that. I assume tight end is going to be one of the inactives week to week, whoever is deemed, the fifth tight end on the roster and whoever they want to sit. But again, what we're looking at here, just a correction for that was just a correction from the last one. I realized I was a little wrong with how I was going through it. So instead of an amendment to what I said in that video, instead of having 7 guys in the secondary, they probably roll with 6, I assume, is what the Colts will do. We'll see what they decide on. But for this video, again, looking at roster bubble, practice squad type guys. So going to go ahead, show you guys what I'm looking at here with the depth chart. And as we look at it, like if you didn't watch the 53-man roster video, you should go watch that and then come back to this moment right here. Okay, so for this one, the people that I think could end up on the practice squad, and I believe it's 16 players that you can put on the practice squad. DJ Montgomery is somebody that I think is for sure going to end up on the practice squad. I think there's a good chance we take Jake Witt on the practice squad. I think there's a chance. See, I don't know. I think Danny Pinter might be a roster bubble guy because he's a veteran player, more expensive than Bortolini and Wesley French. Maybe he's a guy that could end up getting cut. I also think that it's probably a better chance he ends up at least on the practice squad. Maybe not getting cut because of his experience, and maybe it's Wesley French that we see this year get the axe from the Colts, but I don't think they can take all of them, right? I don't think Dalton Tucker is going to stay. Well, whoever loses the backup right guard job is probably not going to be on the team anymore, in my opinion, I think, again. So we have DJ Montgomery, Jake Witt, there's 2. We'll say Danny Pinter makes 4 to go on to the practice squad. And then one of these guys makes 5. And in my opinion, Eric Tomlinson, probably practice squad type of guy. This year, he was on the team last year and had a spot on the practice squad, so maybe he does that again. That's 6. With the amount of tight ends the Colts have, I just don't know if Jordan Murray is worth keeping around. Okay, like maybe, but in my opinion, it's probably best to just let Jordan Murray go ahead and get off the roster so you can save the practice squad players for other guys, right? As we go forward here, Ethan Fournier could be a guy that does that. Juwan Winfrey, I expect to be on the practice squad, and Tyree Cleveland, which is why I'm not so sure about Ethan Fournier. We'll see what happens there, though. I think Jason Bean or Keaton Slovis, one of these guys could end up on the practice squad right now. Keaton Slovis is ahead of Jason Bean. But whichever guy ends up making it could end up being on the practice squad. And then I think Trent Penix or Xavier Scott, one of these guys is going to be on the practice squad. Colts fans are not going to be happy when there's a possibility Xavier Scott gets cut. But we'll see what happens, right, as we go through. And Laquan Treadwell, I'd like it if he ends up staying on the team. I just don't know if he will. Seems like he could be a camp body, just put some depth there in at camp. So you have DJ Montgomery, 1, Jake Witt, 2, Danny Pinter makes 3, one of the right guards makes 4, Eric Tomlinson makes 6, Juwan Winfrey, Tyree Cleveland, 7 and 8. One of these quarterbacks makes 9. And then one of the running backs makes 10. So it's already crowded, right? You look at the defense now, we did have a lot of these guys making the roster. 26 people on the defense making the roster, taking Jalen Simpson out. That's the guy at the bottom here who we're going to have to take out because he was our 53rd guy. So Jalen Simpson, practice squad. Mike Abraham, practice squad. Marcel Dabo doesn't count as a roster spot as part of the international player program, so he's okay. And we'll probably just chill on the practice squad still. Amir Speed, very easily could be practice squad. Whoever this is, Austin Ajake, I would assume probably not going to be on the team. Cameron McGrone, if he doesn't make the active roster, probably a practice squad guy. Liam Anderson's been here a while. Now they're getting depth at linebacker. Will they keep McGrone and Anderson? These two guys could be guys that are on the roster bubble and could be guys that are getting cut as we go forward. And then, Carlisle and Young can kind of just fill in as they need to in one of those roles. Of course, we have Ronnie Harrison here still. I expect to make the active roster, so he could play one of the roles on defense, right? If they really needed to fill a spot, which is why I think McGrone and Anderson could be gone. Then you look at the defensive line. What we're looking at here is Payne Latu, of course, making it. Avery could be on the practice squad. Leo could be on the practice squad. And because Leo's young, he could probably get that practice squad spot over Gennard Avery. But with his injury history, maybe he doesn't. Jonah Lalu was drafted in the 7th round. Haven't heard anything, absolutely anything about him through training camp so far. So he might be a guy that they're like, sorry, but we just don't know if you're really built for the NFL. And he gets cut. Taven Bryan could end up not on the team anymore. Eric Johnson could end up either not on the team or on the practice squad. Levi Bell probably going to get cut, coming from the UFL, but in his first couple practices, haven't heard anything about anything that he's doing. So we'll see what happens there. I have Isaiah Land making the active roster, which he would be my 53rd player because Sam Ehlinger counts as one of the 53. Isaiah Land would be my 53rd. And then, as we look here, Craig Young, I think, could be on the practice squad. And that's really it. We already talked about the linebackers. So there's a lot of guys on the defense that could be practice squad. That's where it's going to be hard. It's going to be tough to see who's really going to make the practice squad. Maybe one of the tough decisions, right? Arlington Hambright probably going to be gone. There's a chance Danny Pinter and Wesley French both get the axe, right? There's a chance, like the way maybe Tyree Cleveland doesn't make it or Juwan Winfrey. I assume at least one of these guys is, but I think maybe 2. So the Colts are going to have to cut down. They're going to have to make some really difficult decisions about who's going to be on the active roster, who's going to be on the practice squad, who do we have to let go because we just don't have the space. So we're going to pay very close attention, continue paying attention to what's happening in each and every training camp practice. If the Colts are practicing, we're looking at it when the preseason games happen. Who's making plays in games? Who can we look at the bottom of the roster, right? These bottom of the roster guys are the ones we're looking at in the preseason. So we're going to really get a good idea of who's on the roster bubble, who has a chance of getting cut, who's trying to and really pushing to have a role on the team. We'll see what's happening in the preseason, and we're going to be streaming during the first preseason game, not the whole thing, but we will stream during that one. Also going to be streaming whenever Colts have practice, and I can get those updates to you guys. I'll do that as soon as I possibly can, and we're going to continue pumping out more content on this channel. So make sure you're subscribed with notifications on so you continue to get notified. Share this with any of your friends, any of your loved ones that want some more Colts content. Any Colts fans out there, just push them to them, see if they enjoy the content as well. If you do, hit that like button, of course. And of course, I appreciate you stopping by for another video. And as always, take care of yourself, take care of each other, and go Colts.